Hey, what's going on guys? Frosty here, and in today's video I wanted to show a very basic guide on how to just do more damage in PvE content. First up we have Well of Radiance, which is the most common super used by warlocks in endgame content like raids, dungeons, and Grandmaster Nightfalls. Once the well is placed on the ground, it lasts for 30 seconds and it gives everybody inside of it a constant healing effect as well as a 25% damage bonus. Next up we have Font of Might. This is a universal armor mod that costs 4 energy and can be allocated into any affinity piece of armor. It has a base duration of 10 seconds and gives you a 25% damage bonus to weapons that have the same elemental type as your subclass. The only catch here is you need some sort of way to actually create these elemental wells. Elemental ordnance is really good, so your grenades can create them, or you can use melee well makers so a charged melee ability can create them. But you need to create these elemental wells in order to actually proc and benefit from Font of Might. So as you guessed it, Well of Radiance and Font of Might do stack for a total of plus 50% damage while they are both active. The big problem here, as you can see, is Well of Radiance far outlasts your Font of Might buff, and that's where I have a solution for you. If you've managed to snag this mod in the past, you want to try Elemental Time Dilation. It costs 3 energy and can only be socketed into a stasis affinity piece of armor. The mod says elemental well mods that grant time limited benefits can now stack, increasing the duration of the effect for each copy of the mod you have equipped. So like I said earlier, Font of Might only has a 10-second base duration, but we can increase that. So if you go ahead and run a mod that can create elemental wells and 1 copy of elemental time dilation and 3 copies of Font of Might, you can increase its duration from 10 to 20 seconds. This is pretty big because this is essentially giving you 10 more seconds of 25% more damage. Next up we have Divinity, which is also commonly seen in endgame content like raids, dungeons, and even the occasional Grandmaster Nightfall. This is an exotic trace rifle that shoots a beam that debuffs the target, and upon that beam hitting the target for more than 1.5 seconds will create a giant bubble around them. When other players, or even the original player who's using Divinity, if they want a hot swap, hit this bubble, you're doing automatic critical hits and 30% more damage on top of that to that target as well. Next up, I see a lot of players get confused about this, and it's High Energy Fire. This mod gives you 20% more damage. However, if you're inside a Well of Radiance, you will not benefit from that extra damage. The well will override it. However, this mod does stack with things like Font of Might and Divinity. Next up, and also a very common one that most players overlook, is just simply reload mods. If you go to your gauntlets, you have a reload mod for every single archetype of weapon in the entire game. A couple good options you can use here is if you're a warlock, try out Lunafaction boots. These are very good, especially for DPS phases on bosses. Basically, whenever you slap down a rift or a Well of Radiance, you and all of your allies will get a big boost to reload speed and even range. And for titans, you can go ahead and run Rally Barricade. Anybody standing directly behind this has increased reload speed as well as even stability. A lot of people pay attention to buffs and debuffs and perks, however reload speed is also a very big factor when it comes to your total DPS output. And lastly, try to mess around with things that do tick damage like Wither Horde or even Anarchy if you have it. For example, if you're going to be damaging a boss and you know you're going to use your heavy for the majority of that fight, you might as well use Wither Horde as well. Just go ahead and slap that on the boss or the mini boss or whatever you're trying to kill, and then pull out your heavy, and while you're doing damage with that, Anarchy or Wither Horde will be passively doing damage in the background for you. Anyways, that's going to do it for today's video. I just wanted to show you guys some basic ways to help your damage output for whatever activities you're doing in the game. If you're a veteran on the other hand though, I didn't expect you to learn much from this video as it's mainly covering the basics. Also, shout out to Earth Ocean over on Discord for giving me the idea for this video. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, stay frosty.